So next, how about we'll have Joe Wineke come up here. Joe?
I too have to mention something about Dick Pass. The last time I talked to Dick was about a week ago. He was in Oconomowoc. I think he was going out hunting or something again. And he told me, I'll see you next Saturday in Mesa, Maine. I sure wish he was here. My name is Joe Wineke, and pardon my voice, this has been going on for over 2 weeks. And I am a candidate once again to be chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. When I left as chair in June of 2009, I left thinking things were in pretty good shape. We had elected Barack Obama president. We had re-elected Jim Doyle in a tough gubernatorial race against Congressman Green. We had re-elected Herb Kohl for the U.S. Senate, maybe not as difficult. Never hurt to have Herb on your side. We added a congressional seat in the 8th with Steve Kagan, and which brought us up to 5. And we won back the state Senate in 2006 and the state Assembly in 2008. Fast forward to March 28, 2015, in the Wisconsin Heights High School gymnasium where I played basketball 38 years ago or so. And look where we're at. We've lost the governor's office. We've lost a U.S. Senate seat. We've lost 2 congressional seats. We have gotten clobbered in the state Assembly and the state Senate. We can and we must turn this around. And I'm running for chair of this party because I think I have something to offer to help make that happen. I'm not running to point fingers at anybody else either. I just don't think that helps us. We've got to bring people together, not pull ourselves and our family apart. So how do we do that? First, can we quit playing defense all the time? I am so tired of Democrats letting Republicans define who we are. I want to define them. I'm not as young or as handsome as Aaron Rodgers, but I want to play quarterback for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and I want to throw deep. We do that through messaging. Messaging matters. And frankly, the Democratic message has been largely, in the last several years, we don't like Scott Walker. Actually, I'd say it's more like we hate Scott Walker. But we never then turn that into what we will do for you if you vote for us. And that's what's missing. Now, too many Democrats say, well, we have a party platform. Yep, we do. It's the Encyclopedia Britannica of democratic values. It's also 51 separate paragraphs with about 70 issue areas. How many of you have read it recently? We have. Well, you would have too, Joyce. Point is, the public doesn't read it. It's an important value statement of who we are. But for Democrats, we have to simplify message, and we've got to look at who we're losing as Democrats at the voting box. And I propose an opportunity agenda for this party based on 3 basic tenets. 1, economic security. We are losing literally hundreds of thousands of lower middle class white votes in this state that should be voting with us on the issues because we're not explaining it properly. Second, we have to make equal educational opportunity the #1 goal of the Democratic Party, and I want to propose something kind of bold. I want this on page 1 of the website of the Democratic Party, that public dollars go to public schools, period. No more vouchers, no more private school expansions with public dollars. They want to go out on their own, go for it. I've got a brother who, his kids went to Lakeside Lutheran. He didn't want state support because he didn't want state attachment because he's much more religious than I. He wanted religious education for his kids. More power to him, but don't ask me to pay for it. Third, we've got to push equal rights for all. And when I say equal rights, I'm not just talking about the baggage that the Republicans define us with on immigration and voting rights. But you know what? When a college student's stuck with a $75,000 debt at the end of college, that's discrimination against that kid. When we take away the reproductive rights of women, that's discrimination against women. We have to fight these things, and here's how I want to do it. I want us to strongly defend these values and let the issue of equal rights define them for who they are, because they're not just pandering to prejudice, they're practicing prejudice. And second, let it define us for who we are. That's why it's so important. Yes, we have to build this party from the bottom up. This party is way too top down, and it's gotten more so in recent years. We cannot continue to think that we can win elections by just piling up the vote in Madison and Milwaukee and urban parts of Wisconsin. We have to focus on rural Wisconsin. Now, we don't ignore, there's too much of this, let's ignore Milwaukee, let's ignore Madison. That's a prescription for losing elections, folks. But we have to realize where we can win elections. And when I was in the Assembly, and I was in the Senate, we had Democrats all over rural Wisconsin. In Dave Obie's congressional seat, at one time, there was only one Republican. Now there's only a few Democrats. Let's win it back. And we do that in a lot of ways, but one of them is to start realizing that the Democratic Party is not in this by itself. If it is, we've lost. This is a group that doesn't need to be tied to the Democratic Party, but you sure as hell should be allied to the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party should want you to be an ally. That's what's been missing in the past. And there's lots of other groups. There's a group on the North Shore of Milwaukee, in Dane County, where we're at right now. There's DeForest progressives, there's Wineke progressives, they're the Oregon progressives. They don't have to be members of the Democratic Party, but we have the same values, and we need to come together to win elections together. So we have to do that. We also need to improve our social media. We don't have one. Good friend of mine, Keith Schmitz from the Shorewood area, came up with a good idea, and he says, let's create a social media advisory council of the Democratic Party. I said, let's do it on day one. We used to send messages almost every day to Democratic Party people on news clipping services, talking points, sample letters to the editor. We're going to do it again. And it's a good idea. And you gotta, you can't beat somebody with nobody. The Democratic Party right now, in the last election, and this includes our cohorts in the Assembly and Senate Democratic campaign committees, in the Assembly last time left 31 out of 60 Republican incumbents off with a free ride. When I chaired the party and we won the Assembly back, we let off either 5 or 6. Big difference, 31 or 5. And guess what? It keeps those Republicans tied up, and it has the potential, if you have candidates everywhere, even if you do not win, it will help drive up the base vote for Democrats, which can elect Russ Feingold and a Democrat for president in 2016 right here in Wisconsin. So let's do that. Now, I want to put my money where my mouth is when it comes to this. I believe that we can win again as a political party, but I want to make a pledge to you. If we do not defeat Ron Johnson in 2016, and we do not add seats in the Assembly and Senate, I will not run again, because I failed. And I think that's pretty darn important to admit. But I'll tell you what, I don't plan on failing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Joe.